All right, all right, all right. Welcome in. This is Toilets to Titles. This is episode number 217. We're talking dynasty rookies, how they're affecting the fantasy football landscape. We're talking some ADP. I'm joined by my guy, Mr. Eric Froton at CFF Roton on the Twitter. How we doing this evening?
Doing great, Schepps. Thank you very much for having me on. Very excited. We're about a week out. We're gonna be flying into Indianapolis for the scouting combine. So just doing some last minute prep before I head in there to make sure I'm geared up and ready to go.
Yeah, man. So you're the lead college football analyst for NBC Sports. But what's really impressive, your stats 67% plus CFB player props record over the last 4 years. Talk about it.
Yeah, that's not just over the last 4 years. It's actually higher. It's 69% over the last 4 years. But I've hit at least 67% in each of the last 4 years on my NBC YouTube morning show on the NBC Sports YouTube network every Saturday morning during the fall and during my columns, which I also put up on NBC Sports. So very proud of that, and thank you for mentioning it. Of course.
Yeah, hell yeah. And last year, I know you came on. I think you came on before the NFL draft. We talked some props. So we'll
Oh
we'll
yeah.
chat off air. I'd love to get you on again because that's my favorite. Like I love betting the Super Bowl. I do all sorts of I probably do like 25 little prop bets, but I feel like I'm more knowledgeable with the NFL draft. So I feel like I have more of a shot. Like the Super Bowl is more of a crapshoot for me. Whereas the NFL draft, I feel like I'm reading the tea leaves. You know what I'm saying? So we'll have to link up for that.
Oh well, the NFL draft. That's when you get out the. Do you watch Always Sunny in
Yes.
Philadelphia?
Yep.
Schepps, of course. There's the Charlie meme where he's got the giant board behind him.
Yeah.
Probably looks like what I have behind me,
Yeah.
and he's going like this. And
Yeah.
and you can say that's when you get out the conspiracy wonky.
Right.
You put everything up and start moving the pieces. That's NFL draft time when you come for the real degenerate gamblers.
It's funny how we say like it's lying season, and it's conspiracy season, and it's like it's only a lie or conspiracy to me if it doesn't fit my narrative. Like
Absolutely.
like I pick and choose, but it's hard, man, because like I know I like tweet out kind of especially for the Cowboys. I'm here. I do this analysis for Dynasty. I love fantasy football. I love scouting prospects, but like my heart and soul is with the Cowboys. So usually, like I kind of lean it towards like the players I want to see go to that team. And then for this, I lean towards players I want to pick on my Dynasty team. But I track, like I tweet like once a month or so, like, hey, this is a player I really like. And then I'll go back and I'll look at the guys I wanted and how it changed. And like, did it change due to news coming out, due to a bad test score, due to a bad combine score? It's funny watching it evolve.
Absolutely. And as you and to speak to your point, I'm here to confirm priors. Exactly. When it comes to conspiracy, I'm confirming priors.
Right.
No new information will be allowed in this cranium. No way. Anyways, but yeah, absolutely. It's sort of for me. I'm starting with these guys when they're freshmen because I'm a college fantasy football analyst. Also, I really a C2C enthusiast. Get into the Debbie space as much as I can, and I'm looking at these guys for how are they going to perform at the collegiate level first and foremost before I even consider what their NFL projections are. I am looking at these players on a week to week basis and
Right.
and projecting their week to week player performance. So it's nice to go back and look at them with a little bit more minutia when during the season I'm inhaling games. I'm putting up 15 to 20 a week. Like I want to make sure I get 20 in a week where I can watch at least, at least the 20-minute super clips, sort of a thing.
Right.
And to get an eye on these guys. But when you pull it back and you have the full scouting view, it certainly allows you to dial in on some tendencies and pick out some nuances that I simply don't have time to during the season because the clock is ticking. As soon as one game's done, I'm seconds away from the next Saturday when I have to put out 30 plays, which thousands of people are watching my show and putting their money on. So
Right.
I have to be in the moment.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean
Right. Right.
when it's that time.
Yeah, and it kind of shifts. Like I imagine, when you're watching something for production now versus for development and production later. So I originally, like when I first started doing analysis in the form that I do it, probably like 7 years ago, it was just highlights, right? Like 8 years ago, rookie highlights. And then it
So few resources to dive into. Absolutely. You do what you could.
I didn't really know, like, you kind of like I figured it out along the way and then ask people. That's what I love about this community. People like you, Dane Brugler, Trevor Sikkema. Like I've had analysts gracious enough to kind of lead me, along the way. Like, hey, this is what I look at. This is what I look at. So my process has developed. And as of late, I used to start watching prospects like September, October, when the or like if the Cowboys were out of it right away, I'd watch it. Now I started, this was the first year that I started actually doing player profiles. So go to toiletstitles.com. Anybody listening at home, go under the NFL draft column. We have a 60 player big board right now. We have about 55 of those players written up, probably about 70 players written total. But I started working on those profiles, I want to say like May of last year. So I'm not 4 years, I'm not freshman like you going back to like to when they start, but my process slowly but surely keeps being pushed further and further back.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just that's part of the fun. That's why we're out here and having the chat. And gosh, those guys like Dane Brugler and Trevor, they're such excellent analysts when it comes to projecting the NFL draft. And while I feel good about my projections, it should be noted that my bread is buttered at the collegiate level in a way that they aren't. So I do have I think a different perspective of these guys from the ground up. Though those guys are like two of the best. Okay.
Yeah, so David wanted to know, did you do karaoke at the hotel last expo and happen to jump on the tables?
I love how he frames it as if it's a question. Did I do that? David knows damn well I did that. Of course. Not only did I do that, I want to make sure that everybody understands here. Not only did I do karaoke, right? But I had done karaoke for the previous 2 years, all right, at Jose's Landing at the expo and brought the house down. Specifically, the year prior, brought my coworker Denny Carter on stage, promised him he could do the Bowie parts.
Right.
You're gonna get Denny on stage, bro. He's got to be doing Bowie.
Fair.
To do Under Pressure, I took the Freddie Mercury parts. Somehow hit the high note despite my deeper voice. Dude, I got it. I hit it.
Man.
And we brought the house down during that performance, and it allowed me to kind of have some cachet with Bob Lung, the great Bob Lung, organizer of the Fantasy Football. So and say, hey, Bob, hey, what if we brought karaoke to the hotel or to the area as opposed to everybody having to try to go off site to some dive bar that nobody can get Ubers back from because it's 3 a.m. in Canton, Ohio.
Right.
And so I was able to make some sense. And then we got it in the lobby. And so I knew that we were going to have like 5 hours of just, this is everybody here. It's not like the late night stragglers. Like you got to perform.
Right.
So I knew there was a lot of pressure.
Right.
So what I wanted to do is do something a little different than what everybody else is doing, because everyone's going to be watching 3 hours of karaoke. What can I give them? It's a little different. So not only I knew the table jump was a given.
Right.
That was happening. All right. That was baked in. But I want to do something a little different in creativity wise. So I channeled the immortal Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, get out. Yeah.
Right. And while I didn't do one of his songs, what I did was on the drive from Nashville, where I was visiting my parents where they live, up to Canton, I listened to a whole bunch of songs on the way. And I waited for one to kind of hit me. And boom, a song hit me. I was like, I am changing the lyrics to that. I'm repurposing it a la Weird Al Yankovic. And that song was Cult of Personality by Living Colour, the immortal Corey Glover singing, Vernon Reid on lead guitar. And I took that song and turned it in the Cult of NFL Fantasy instead of the Cult of Personality, and repurposed the lyrics to fit that and such. I mean, I don't know if you guys want a rendition of it.
I mean, you could give us the hook. Give us the hook. Give us the chorus.
So some of my okay, so I
Not to
was
put you on the spot.
I have to remember the repurposed lyrics. It was the song, it'll be fine. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
What we could do, you could remember it, and we could close out the show.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'll have to do.
Remember it, and we're gonna wrap up the
That's what I
show,
have
and
to
then
do. Let me pull up the lyrics, and
Right.
then I'll be able to repurpose them. I like it. Let's close
now
up the show. I'm
was
sorry,
the
guys.
it's all
I
no, because now they have something to look forward to, and for me that's a
I got to
tease
be ready for that.
that makes them stay, till the
I'm
end. Now they're gonna stay.
pulling it up as we speak here.
So
yeah, let's rock and roll.
Was the karaoke before or after the flag football competition?
Oh, that was the closer. So
The
that was
karaoke.
after. It was after the flag football competition where I strained every. I mean, I pushed my body to the limits.
Right.
Did everything I possibly could. I was shoving people. Like I was full two-hand.
Right.
It seemed like they were letting things go. So when we played the Des Bryant team and we were
Right.
lining up against them, there's these young kids. I got right up and full on two-handed some 16-year-old in the chest.
16.
And got a nice little PBU out of it. But
now if you were to play in a flag football competition,
you don't want me facing up on you. If you can get by me, like it's on. But 6'3", 205, as we discussed, power forward, AAU basketball player,
right?
College power forward.
If you were to play in a flag football competition and say you were to win, what would you sing at the karaoke after the competition? Something epic, I suppose.
Well, you have to go with "We Are the Champions,"
right?
Of course. I mean,
right.
that's standard fare.
Right.
But it all depends on kind of the mood I'm feeling, how the crowd is.
Yeah.
It's all about song selection. You got to fit it. If it's it's one I've been waiting to do. If you get kind of maybe around our age, maybe in that 35 to 45 range ish, I've always wanted to do "Possum Kingdom" by the Toadies. I haven't done that yet. Yeah, that's one I've always wanted to do. If there's some ladies in the house, Deborah by Beck off of Midnight Vultures. You guys probably, I'm speaking Swahili.
Yes,
everybody.
Yes.
Go Beck. Beck's legit. Everybody knows Beck.
Right.
But 1999, Midnight Vultures, the final song in the album is Deborah, and he performed it at the 2000 VH1 Music Awards, and that live performance is fire.
Hell yeah.
I promise you'll be entertained if you go and check that out. I want to do that. I want to do Beck's 2000 VH1 Music Awards performance in karaoke, but there's got to be some ladies there.
Yeah. All right.
I can't do that one of the dudes.
We'll move on. We'll move on to NFL draft discussion. I'm just gonna get one more. If I'm gonna do karaoke, it's "My Way" by Frank Sinatra.
I'm a crooner.
I'm a crooner.
Oh,
old soul. Old soul, man. That would be how I'd get it done. But all right, let's move on, man. So you were at the Senior Bowl this year. I missed you.
I've seen Richard Cheese in concert 3 times. So if you want crooners, let's roll. So,
we can
anyway,
croon.
yes.
Maybe we could do like the Rat Pack, like we'll talk. We'll talk.
Hey. Well, yeah. I'm not afraid. Let's do it. Let's do it.
We'll figure it out. All right.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm disappointed I missed you at the Senior Bowl this year. We were out. We were up in Killington, Vermont, on a snowboarding expedition with children. So
I'm sorry you were snowboarding at Killington. How were those catwalks, huh?
Oh,
yeah, you love getting out and pedaling across the mountain.
Yeah, oh man, yeah. When
it's not made for snowboarders.
No, it's tough.
I hated Killington.
Yeah,
no offense. Big mountain.
Where I'm from, it's small mountains and it's all ice. I'm in the Hudson Valley. So cool. Killington to me, I don't mind, I'll even walk past the catwalks and then put my board on and ride, but it was beautiful, but I missed the Senior Bowl. I'll be there next year. I want to get into some of your ADP discussion. I
saw some of the T2T guys and girls. I saw some of the folks there, though. You guys were representing.
They were representing. But what were your initial thoughts? Kind of some surprises, people that stood out to you, people that disappointed you. Kind of what was your vibe coming out of the Senior Bowl?
Sure. One, it's a pretty fun collegial atmosphere. It was the first time I ever went. I had been to the previous 2 combines and will be at the next one. Excuse me, previous 3 combines. So this will be my 4th, and it's a lot more of a buttoned up affair.
Yeah.
It's pretty, and don't get me wrong, it's intimidating. You're in there in this big room, and it's everyone, and then forget about that. Then you're in the after hours, and you're
Right.
at Prime or you're at St. Elmo's, and I mean, it's NFL royalty amongst you, and it's you get starstruck at least 3 or 4 times, maybe more at there. But
Last
anyways,
year I went face to face with Wink Martindale for a brief, like 5 seconds.
it's like,
Was
no,
intimidating. Yeah.
do you want a beer?
The security guard. No, it was actually at the. He was trying to walk down
Okay.
to the field, and the security guard wouldn't let him in. And I was like, "You don't know who this guy is?" And then
Attaboy.
Wink Martindale kind of looked at me like I was a jerk for like saying like you don't know who. Like I wasn't trying to, like I don't know.
Yeah, you were trying. You're trying your best.
It was weird. It was a weird like exchange. Like it was very bizarre. But yeah, that was an experience I had.
You big timed for Wink Martindale.
That's what I mean. Yeah, and then he like kind of was like, whatever. Like I'll go through the process. I'll do what I need to do. So I was like,
Totally.
oh, sorry.
Totally. Well, I'll get around and actually answer your question instead of going off on a little Senior Bowl versus Combine tangent there. And I was pretty much, lockstep focused on the skill position players, since we are kind of on the fantasy side.
Right.
I go back and, review. I've actually been doing a lot of the film work on defensive players lately because I feel like it's kind of a finishing class for the skill guys for me because I am looking further down at high school, college type players. So Roman Wilson, we all wanted to see. He doesn't get a lot of reps. It's just the nature of the beast being in the Michigan back-to-back Joe Moore award-winning offense last year. Washington won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line in college football, but still Michigan was like, top 3 will survive. National championship, Michigan. We're not worried about their OL, but the nature of that offense is they have an absolute incredible defense. They have one of the best defensive coordinators in college football, who's now in the NFL level, and Jesse Minter. And can he go out there and win on a consistent basis, one-on-one, with some of these elite cornerbacks in a way that, he really didn't get the opportunity to show on the same level as somebody who's in an air raid offense, who's just getting it chucked to him all the time. It's just going to be different. And I was optimistic because, again, from a week-to-week player evaluation, point of view, I was looking at him in 2022 pretty often, where he had some very artificially low college football props lines. You were seeing him listed in the low 20s a lot. And every time you'd watch the game, would they throw to probably 5 times? That's a light load for a college wide receiver, especially to be considering any kind of an over. You really have to have more of a deep threat profile for me to be more comfortable with that. But dude, every opportunity I'm watching the film, and his breaks are so clean. His defensive manipulation, he's not just running down one cut and he's getting into his route. There's multiple feints and head fakes and shakes that. Is it going to be now? No. And he's just him and Ladd McConkey and Ricky Pearsall all have that same element of that craftiness and that short area quickness, the ability to hit those bounce routes, whip routes. And with Pearsall, especially, just seeing it in person, what he did on tape at Florida, which Billy Napier there, the former Louisiana coach, runs like a 3-back system. They're just rotating. This year, they shortened it to Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne, Travis Etienne's brother, is now at Georgia. But his ability to contort his body and reach back, and, his footwork is much better in terms of his release. That's something you get to see at the Senior Bowl. You don't get to see on film, but he was making the signature plays of just incredible hands and just the ability to go across the middle and run any type of route and set it up with multiple fakes and to make the spectacular jumping, ball tracking ability that you want to see. And, you're seeing slot receivers eat pretty well in the NFL if they have the right skill set nowadays. So, guys like that with that profile, maybe a little bit of outside, but primarily inside, like McConkey, Wilson, and Pearsall, those guys were all great. And I think in terms of standing out, those three all kind of stood out to me.
So with McConkey, when I watch his film, my comp for him, I see a lot of Josh Downs. I see a guy who could work that intermediate, who is going to create large windows over the middle of the field. Like, he's quarterback friendly, very quarterback friendly. I think Downs is slightly a bit more explosive, but they're both equally reliable. I think he can come in day one and have similar production Downs had in Indianapolis. Now, when I watch Roman Wilson, he'll be fun to watch at the combine. I'm interested to see what his straight line speed is. I think his 3-cone, his pro agility stuff, that'll all be phenomenal. But I want to see if he has that straight line speed. But what stands out to me about Roman Wilson is when plays are extended outside of the pocket, he knows how to find holes in the defense right in the quarterback's passing lane. Like, JJ McCarthy would be rolling out left, and who comes rolling out into the back left end of the end zone? Roman Wilson's there. I think a guy like Roman Wilson would fit in so well with a physical quarterback who knows how to extend the play. Like, if you get him to Buffalo, get him with Josh Allen, a guy who's going to be rolling out of the pocket, looking downfield, like what everybody wanted Gabe Davis to be. Obviously, different body frames, different play, but like Roman Wilson can do all that. Like, so, and I think, obviously you put any of those wide receivers with Patrick Mahomes, they're going to produce. But with Patrick Mahomes, who knows how to extend a play, wide receivers like Roman Wilson, who know how, like the breakaway drill. Like, if you played football, like if you played wide receiver, in practice, we run the breakaway drill where, all right, broken play, where are you going to go? You're going to go towards the sideline. You're going to come back to the quarterback. And that's, some people know how to do that. It's just innate. And it seems very innate with Wilson.
Yeah, I agree. And in terms of his speed, I have access to some of the Blesto and National Scouting Services lines from their projections from the preseason. They had him 4.35, 4.4. So that is
damn good.
Oh yeah. Norman Wilson runs in the 4.3. Highs. His ticket is punched for the second round, and he won't get in the first probably. You gotta remember, as soon as you start watching the draft, it's like every year I try to remind myself there are only so many first-round picks. Yeah. You can only have so many first-round picks, okay? Like, that board starts getting really, really short really fast. So, temper your expectations.
And then I listen to some analysts that are like really tuned in to the NFL circle. And I've been hearing that there's really only 20 players with first-round grades in this class. So, like, I fall in love with prospects, but there's guys who are going to be taken 21 through 32 who got second-round grades, So that's personal when you preference. See that's when you see a guy like Tyler Smith. I know we're talking players, fantasy relevant, and Tyler Smith isn't, but I'm going to go back to the Cowboys. That's why a guy like Tyler Smith gets selected, because he might not have had the first-round grade, but the Cowboys believed in him, and they took him there, and it ended up panning out for him pretty damn well.
Well, yeah, I mean, he came in from Tulsa too, so he was like, they viewed him as, all right, we might need a little development. But it's funny, during my pass of the tackles that class, he stood out as being like impenetrable in terms of his strength, and it's like, ooh,
like Larry Allen.
You polish him up a little bit. Oh, what could he be? Yeah. And they saw the same thing. It's another thing, since we're on your Cowboys guy. Yes, sir. A guy that I loved that had a 5th-round grade, who me and Jerry were seeing the same things on. Ole Miss defensive end Sam Williams.
Right.
Bro, his college tape was nuclear.
Right.
Dangerous in the SEC. He's just abusing these big-time SEC tackles.
Right.
Like, you couldn't stop him. And I looked at that, and as soon as the Cowboys took him the second round, I cut a video on him being a sleeper. I'm like, I can't believe he's not being talked about as one of the best edge players. And then they took him, and all I could think about is, oh my God, Sam Williams and Micah Parsons. Oh
right.
God, what does
they
that
kind
look
of
like?
They look like twins too. Like, they look very.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn.
He's a monster.
Dan Quinn went to the Ole Miss Pro Day and worked Sam Williams out like in person. So you knew, like, Dan Quinn had his eyes on Sam Williams.
Saw what a specimen that guy is. Like,
Yeah, but the
I get it.
Cowboys,
Totally get it.
with the
All of
way
it. I hope
Deron
that
Bland
pans
is
out for you
playing,
guys, man.
with the way Deron Bland is playing, I don't know if they're going to be able to pay. Sam Williams is going to have like a big year if he's going to be the one to want to get the bag, because one of those two is going to get it after this season.
Yeah, totally get it.
It's going to be hard to pay him. All right, let's get into some of these. So you just wrote an article, initial sleeper ADP rankings and analysis. So everybody go check that out. If you follow Eric on Twitter at CFF Froton, if you're watching live, you can see it. His article, I think, is like 4th or 5th tweet down. Go check it out. You have some analysis. First, you have like kind of the rounds and the ADP, and then you have some analysis on the rounds. So I was looking through your analysis, and it led me to some questions that I am going to deliver to you, right? I'm going to be comparing, or rather, you're going to be comparing players. I'm going to give you the question, and I want you to kind of use the ADP to decide which player better value. And some of them you might say ADP don't even matter. This guy's a better value regardless. But we're going to start, all right, with Drake May, Jaden Daniels at their current ADP, without knowing where they're going to end up. Because I feel like quarterback is the one position where, or one of the positions where, landing spot is so damn important. And it's hard to really gauge that now because we don't know that information. But May or Daniels, which direction you going?
Yeah, you got May at number 3, according to Sleeper ADP, and you have Jaden Daniels at 4. Obviously, you have the top 2, Caleb and Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1 and 2. I'm going with, as ADP has it slotted, I am going to go with Drake May. I just think the upside is so huge for him. You got to remember with these two guys, Drake May is still a young 21,
right.
Comes from a legendary athletic family. His dad is a famous UNC basketball player. His brother played hoops. Drake May, another basketball player. As you know, Schepps, I am a basketball player.
Phenomenal.
I believe that we are the best athletes in the world and we can play anything.
Right.
So as a hooper, I do put stock into that, and you see it in his ability to run. In terms of how many yards he's accounted for, I think he leads all of college football over the past few years. You forget about that ability that he does have, just like Jaden Daniels does. But, I do think that he's 3 years, 2.5, 3 years younger almost. Right. Jaden Daniels, that's a big difference because Jaden Daniels at Arizona State was not Jaden Daniels at LSU, even 2 years ago. And I was lucky enough to see him throw this summer at the Elite 11 finals camp at Redondo Beach, where both Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix were counselors. And, it goes to show he looked great. I like his smooth, over-the-top, repeatable delivery. You see him making plays from the pocket and dropping some beautiful throws to Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, who are both, Neighbors is elite. Brian Thomas is, I've seen, I think, comfortably more than not seeing him going in the first round. We'll see if that materializes, but he's right there in that second group after the Neighbors and Harrison and Odunze top 3. So, we saw him do that, but things to have questions about with him is you watch him run and you see his frame, and he's listed at 210. I got eyes on him 3 straight days thrown around. He's thin to me. He looks light for, a QB, and you look at the way he runs. Is he fast? Oh, hell yeah. I think he probably runs a sub 4.5. For QBs, it doesn't sound like a big deal running 4.5. There ain't a lot of QBs who run sub 4.5.
What do you think May will run?
The best. May probably in the low 4.6s, which is great.
Right.
That's probably what Caleb will run.
Right.
That's for a QB. You can't look at Anthony Richardson last year it was the greatest QB performance that's ever happened in terms of a physical specimen. Yeah, absolutely. So you can't go and look at anybody like you can look at Anthony Richardson at 240 pounds running a 4.43, I think he did.
Right.
God. But you're going to get that out of Daniels, but he's thin, and he is very reckless.
Right.
And I just see, I don't want the Robert the RG3. Like, you know, he goes and he's hot for a little while, and then he just gets lit up because you're not going to have those running lanes in the NFL the way he does now.
Right.
And, you know, his passing rate off script, believe it or not, like, and this isn't something I hear a lot of analysts bring up, but he had the lowest passing rate when off of script, when move off of his spot. You flush him, guess what? He's pulling it down and he's running it.
Right.
And you know what's happening. 20% of the time, you know, he passed the ball when flushed. The NFL average is 57%. He went 9 of 18 for 220 yards with 2 TDs. So, like, he cashed in when he did throw it.
Right.
But it's not something he was particularly comfortable doing.
Right.
And I wonder how that translates to the NFL, you know? Like, it's just everything's tighter. He has less and less time.
Right.
Smaller windows, all that. But, man, it's not that I don't like him. It's just I'd rather have Drake May's upside more. That's all.
Right. Now, with May, at least for like the first 3 quarters of the season, I felt like he was lights out under pressure. Like lights out. And then just towards the end of the year, it got to crunch time. You know, there were some losses, there were some interceptions, there were some bonehead plays. But I remember looking at his PFF grades early on in the season, and I think he was like one of the most highly pressured quarterbacks in all of college football, and he was still getting it done. So, I mean, that translates, you know, and he's not as reckless. He's got a cannon for an arm. There's so much to like, but with both of these guys, you know, and again, where they end up, you know, if Daniels ends up in an offense where he's got like the Falcons, let's say, with Drake London, with a Kyle Pitts, with a Bijan Robinson, now where defense is, you know, someone's doubling London, someone's doubling Pitts, a linebacker's focused on Bijan, there's no spy, you know, it'll open up so much for him. So that also comes into the equation, but I'm very excited about this quarterback class, but I'm also very excited about this wide receiver class. Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze, because I feel like Neighbors, all right, I don't want to sway you with my comments, right? But I don't think I can. You're too powerful to be swayed by my comments, right? So I'm going to say them anyway. I feel like Neighbors is getting disrespected because of how good Marvin Harrison is. Malik Neighbors is damn good. Like, I see so much AJ. Like, I feel like you put AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb in a blender and you get Malik Neighbors, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have no problem with that at all. When it comes to him, watching him, what really stands out to me is the acceleration on those hitches when he catches it, you know, in stride, coming across the, you know, on those slants. When you get the ball in his hands, they got it to him any way they possibly could. He had a 91th percentile plus PFF receiving grade to all 4 levels, behind 0 to 9, 11 to 19, 20 plus. That is extremely, extremely rare. You don't see that a lot of the time because it's kind of hard to rack up the big grades on the short passes because there's not a lot you can do. He accelerates so fast. You have to understand this. And he's not small. He's like a $195.
Right.
You know, it's maybe he's
frame
6
too.
foot.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like he's 6 foot, but like he's a thick 6 foot, 195. That's what you want nowadays.
Right.
That's 6 foot 200. Like, that's the archetype. You want separators, and you don't have to worry about that with Malik Neighbors. You want him burning people deep, you can. I mean, but again, that's what separates him, I think, from some of these other pretty talented receivers in the class. The Troy Franklins. So Adonai, another, you know, deep threat type player, but man, you do Neighbors does it to all 3 levels, and he's just more explosive than Odunze. I think Neighbors is closer to Marvin Harrison Jr. than Odunze is to Neighbors. So explosive. And 30 missed tackles forced, second most in the nation.
Right.
Like, everything about his profile led the nation in receiving, grade against man coverage.
Man,
it's all there. Just watch it. Just all there.
Man, so I started this segment saying that Neighbors is being disrespected. We completely just disrespected Rome Odunze. So yeah, I apologize
to him. But I mean, look, I'm already invested in Neighbors. This is a Bowman U Chrome
Right.
Malik Neighbors, 1 of 25 autograph orange.
Yeah.
I got this.
We're gonna have to, if I bump into you in Canton, which we've had some discussions, I might. We're gonna have to like, man. I got Nico
Oh
Collins, I got George
yeah.
Pickens, I got this Anthony Richardson. Dude, I got
Oh,
tons of
sick.
Jordan Love. Like
See,
I go
I go all college guys. That's my thing because I'm a college dude.
well. If
You
you
know what I
like
mean?
college,
So
how about this? How about
I
this
got my
fight
1 of
on?
50 Tetaroa. See, I got the next year guys on display.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
that's
I got
your.
my Tetaroa McMillan. He'll be the wide receiver 2 after Burden next year. Just get ready.
I got these. Maybe we'll make a trade. I got these Michael Pittman USC. This one is a National Treasures right here. So that's a all right. We're going.
Oh,
we're
National
going up
Treasures. Oh, you're flexing on me
Oh
now.
yeah, check it
See,
out.
I like the college stuff. I'm a college guy.
That's
Oh wow,
USC, man. It's got a piece of
oh
game
yeah,
one jersey
National
in there.
Treasures. That's heavy.
We'll talk.
All right, last one.
Yeah.
Just because it's going to be topical. Running back again, red 1 of 25. Marshawn Lloyd.
Hell
Marshawn
yeah.
Lloyd. In this draft class, get
Let's-
something relevant.
Let's move on to that player. All right, we'll jump around. Marshawn Lloyd or Ray Davis.
See, what a segue.
Yeah, Marshawn Lloyd or Ray Davis, because I know
Marshawn
both of them.
Lloyd.
I know Ray Davis down there. They're down there at the Senior Bowl. So, how do you feel about these guys?
Well, first off, everybody knows that you don't go out of you don't besmirch the name of Ray Davis unless you want his dad, Ray Davis Sr., to be on you. Because in the college fantasy football community, everybody knows that if you like, we've seen a few public floggings of people besmirching the good name of Raymond Davis, and it was pretty entertaining. So
that's fine.
I have been invested from a college fantasy standpoint at Ray Davis for a few years back when he was transferred to Vanderbilt from Temple and grinded out 1,000-yard season. Bless his heart. I don't know how the heck he did that, but went over to Kentucky and has been great. But look, he's long in the tooth. He's almost 25. It's not like he has these incredible performance metrics to really lean on. Then I say, like, all right, I like Ray Davis. He's a good, solid number 2, number 3 running back that I feel like is going to be a dependable, meat and potatoes type guy.
Okay.
For a few years at the NFL level. I think there's more potential with Marshawn Lloyd. All right. And you look at his billing. First off, he's billed at 210 pounds all throughout college, at USC, at South Carolina. Checks in at 217 at the Senior Bowl. Very impressive. Didn't catch hardly any passes the whole time he's at South Carolina. Okay, goes right over to USC. Boom, leads the nation with 17.5 yards per catch. Goes to the Senior Bowl, doubles down on that. I mean, just looked phenomenal. Absolutely no issues. Anybody that watched him at Senior Bowl knows there was no problem with what we saw out of Marshawn Lloyd and his receiving acumen. He only drew like a 49 percentile grade out of PFF. I just cannot possibly agree with that in any way, shape, or form. And dude, I mean, broken tackles, 4.3 yards after contact. That's what I'm here for. 4th highest elusiveness rating, 41% broken tackle rate from my boy Marshawn Lloyd. Bro, that is Bijan numbers. 41%. It's just he's doing it in the Pac-12. So you're getting dinged for the Pac-12 defenses. We've all seen it before. It's just how it is. But 115 carries. Had an ACL early on, really stunted his early career. That's why he's a 4th-year running back, not a 3rd. But transferred to USC and really built his value. Got dinged up again. Has kind of had some issues staying fully healthy. Only 115 carries, but 7 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Way more explosive, way more upside.
So the medical checks will be big for him in Indianapolis. For sure.
I think that's pretty fair. But, man, he looked good.
Yeah.
He looked good. He's doing it out there. It's not even like the medical. It's just like he gets nagging injuries.
Right. Well, I'm sure they're going to be interested, in checking that out. But I'm going to watch some film. I've been diving into the DBs and the wide receivers. I'm doing running backs next. And one of my guys is Trey Benson. I'm a big Trey Benson fan. I feel like his film, not from this past season, from the season prior, felt like his vision was better 2 years ago. This year, I saw some cutback lanes, some running lanes that he didn't go through. I felt like there was more potential for him this year. but what I've seen him do, I think it carries over to the next level. I think he's an every down back. I'm a big fan of Trey Benson. I know there's a lot of big fans of Blake Corum. Who are you choosing, Benson or Corum?
It's pretty comfortable, Trey Benson, for me. I know. One
Oh,
flag.
hell yeah.
There it is. Boom. 1 of 25. I have 2 of them.
All right, we're gonna trade. I'm bringing some
I
cards
can't
down
wait.
to the
I think he's certainly in play to be the first running back taken. And if you watch him,
who doesn't want an FSU running back?
I know, man. I know. I feel the same way.
Right.
It's but you look at the usage. Obviously, that's something that gets dinged. You got a 3 running back system that Norvell's running over there. And they were an awesome team, but they did lean on him once Jordan Travis got hurt. And I feel like he was in 2022, his first year transferring over from Oregon, because he originally went to Oregon. Bucky Irving transferred in there from Western Kentucky and really did a great job just taking that over. So props to Bucky. He transfers over here, averages 4.5 yards after contact with 79 broken tackles.
Right.
All right, year 1. Guys, that's not something that you just see every day. That is as high as
and kick returns, punt, he was a return man.
Absolutely, he's doing it all, and he was electric. I wrote in the preseason. I wrote a column. My favorite sleeper running back. I had to pick my number 1. It was Trey Benson.
Right.
So, I mean, I just think you saw it. And then I actually put out a video. If you look at my timeline over there on the Twitter X,
check it out.
Where I was doing my film work on him earlier. He made his ability to catch the ball. He had 3 drops, which is why he gets dinged a little bit. But man, he made a few catches on tape that weren't just good. They were phenomenal. One in particular where he was flaring out against Clemson and he caught a back shoulder at the sticks, 11 yards downfield, thrown by Jordan Travis. That, everything you want to see. It was like an expert level toe tap. It was perfect. And another one on the right side for first down against Wake Forest, where he somehow displayed an acrobat's contact balance to get through 3 tacklers in a phone booth. There's no way you're getting 3 yards out of this here. He's hemmed in. And I don't know, it was some Houdini type stuff. His
feet of eyes.
God, he's special.
Uh-huh.
I think that in a much maligned running back class that's really getting dinged, which is legit. Trey Benson's 220 plus.
Give me him.
He corners and handles really well. Watch him against Clemson. That Clemson game, go out and check it out. Watch how he's navigating on the interior. I know that there's some runs where he will kind of run in the back of his blocks, but dude, he gets over on the right side on one particular run, in the second quarter, and he's going to the right. He kind of darts that side, and he's leaning this way, and he sees a tackler come, and he totally changes his entire direction on the left side and does it with 1 step, no gathering, and is at full speed in 2 steps. And it was just I had just watched Braylon Allen and Audric Estime, and then I watched Trey Benson, as a refresher heading into the combine.
Right.
And it just further solidified my feeling. Trey Benson could be a legitimate starting running back in the NFL. I believe it.
I agree. All right, I'm going to ask you. This is going to be the last question. All right. So I'm going to do 3 players. So I'm going to bunch these players together. Before I do, in your article, you referred to the 3rd round phantom zone, and you wanted to vanquish prospects to this phantom zone. Tell me more about the phantom zone and what it's like vanquishing these prospects there.
Well, it just feels like the 3rd round, the first round is obviously the gold, where everybody wants the first round picks. It's how you are able to pry away Jamar Chases and the Patrick Holmeses and et cetera of the world. You gotta pony up. They all want them. And then the second round is look, I love the second round. I feel like that's where you can value hunt and get the Laportas of the world. A-Chain fell down there a little bit sometimes.
Not my leagues.
Not in your leagues. Apology. But, but then you get to the 3rd round and when I listen to analysts out there, they're always saying, I think this guy could be a 3rd rounder. Everybody seems like it's a 3rd rounder. It seems like everyone in the entire player pool seems to be worth a third round pick to me.
Right.
Is what it seems to be. It's like when you want to hedge and you don't want to make a call. That's what it is.
Right.
You know. So
now I
that's
get it.
why I have it
Yeah,
as
I
the
like
Phantom
it.
Zone.
I like it.
Whereas I feel like it's a much more,
it's
a
Fugazi.
better proving ground.
Yeah,
people don't care about third round picks. I hear
Right.
it all the time. Like, oh, third round picks, whatever. You need it first or second. It's like, look at Jalen Polk. Jalen Polk's a 3-1. Let me personally assure you, Jalen Polk would not be going at 3-1 either.
Right.
That's
man.
happening.
All right.
Lad McConkey at 3-4. Stop.
Well, hey,
Stop
that's another segue. All right.
No way.
Malachi Corley, Lad McConkey, Roman Wilson. I feel, so I like Corley. I don't think Corley's as talented as McConkey or Wilson, but you also have to consider the ADP. I think they all probably need a solid wide receiver one in their offense. I don't think either of those three are going to be the alpha. I think they'll be better as the two, but I do like Corley. I think I love his yards after catch ability. But how do you see these three wide receivers? How do you rank them?
Well, Corley's actually going 210, and McConkey's going 3-4, and Wilson
that'll change. I think
Wilson 310 right now.
Crazy.
According to Sleeper ADP, that is a major buying opportunity, people. And Pierce Hall at 3-4, Marshawn Lloyd at 3-8. So look at all these players we've just discussed as we really like. You have several of them here in the third round, Phantom Zone. And I would say if I have to make a call on one of them, like God, Lad and Roman are like my children. I have to go with one of those two over Corley. And thing is with Corley, right? You look at last year in 2022. So let me explain a little bit of the lineage of Western Kentucky. This is where I can be of value, the historian. So Western Kentucky had in 2021 the year of Zappy.
Right.
In comes Zach Kitley, offensive coordinator from Houston Baptist, who during the pandemic in 2020 went and lit on fire 4 Power 5 teams, one of the only FCS teams to play a Power 5 team schedule, 4-game schedule, and put up 30 points on each of them, and immediately got hired to Western Kentucky, at which he brought in Zappy and Jarrett Stearns and Tinsley and a couple other guys. So it gets there at Kentucky, West Kentucky, and they light it on fire. Bailey Zappi sets an all-time record for passing yardage. Like throws for almost 6,000 yards. It was insane.
Phenomenal.
Insane. So 2022 comes around. Kitley goes and leaves. He goes to Texas Tech. Ben Arbuckle's his top lieutenant. He goes and he takes the reins. Yeah, absolutely. Fatty Ben Arbuckle. He's in there. And this is Mitchell Tinsley and Corley time. Those guys go on fire. Austin Reed has a great season, the natural Austin Reed. And Mitchell Tinsley goes on to play for Penn State.
Okay.
He hits the portal, goes to Penn State after his big season. Malachi Corley hits it in 2022, hits the portal. Nobody picks him up. Okay, you're at Western Kentucky. It ain't hard to improve your profile if you're already going the portal and trying to seek out your value. You know what I'm saying? We're calling him a second-round fantasy pick. We're calling him a potential second-round NFL selection when no Power 5 teams went out there. And there's plenty of them who have interest. Like this is the nature of the transfer portal. It's the move on up feeding system.
Yeah.
That concerns me. That being said, I did just want to point that out. Some of the readers didn't realize that, even though I do like him, and he is so tough. So tough, man. Give me Lad. The clean breaks. When you watch the film, when you get that all 22 version of him up there, and you're watching just how much incredible separation, how sharp he's breaking off those guys. He's coming back to the ball, and you're watching he'll be right there with a defender, and you watch him go and just cut it, and the defender is doing the big round cut. And it's almost impossible to cover him in those first 20 yards. Like he's absolutely a nightmare. He's a little bigger than Wilson too. Like I want to say he's like 195. Lad is. I mean, he's not big. I mean, like 190. But that's my call.
I love it. All right, we're gonna wrap this thing up. The listeners are waiting now for the Cult of Personality rendition. Did you look up the lyrics?
I looked up the lyrics, but I didn't get it. Hold on, here we go. Actually, yeah, I should look up my lyrics, shouldn't I?
Look up your lyrics, man.
Absolutely. Give me one more question. Let's go.
All right. One more question.
I'll speed through it.
McCarthy or Knicks? JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy, easy call. You read my column, you know. I had. It's like the fervor is out right now. Everybody has already gotten to the is it going to be? Is it going to be Knicks? Is it going to be McCarthy? Who's it going to be? Obviously,
McCarthy's
gotten
like
out
21,
now.
right? He just turned 21, and Knicks is going to be 23, 24.
Come on, that's not fair. I think it's been that way. I had this column out before the current Fury. You've seen a few mock drafts come out where it's been clear, where it's like, all right, we've gotten to a point where he's getting the Minnesota Vikings buzz. You're seeing him mocked there. You know what I mean?
Right.
In very prominent spots. So with that, I just think you gotta the cat's out of the bag. But Bo Nix, I never thought he was in first round consideration, to be honest with you. And his limitations, throwing downfield, handling pressure when he is pressured, something that you don't have to worry about with JJ McCarthy. Highest grade under pressure in the entire Power 5. So, I just think when you add all of that up, the upside, again, the age, the performance on the field, everything. Bo Nix was running a quick read offense where he's just snapping off throws to his brother, Tez Johnson, and Troy Franklin, and everything's kind of done for him. We haven't seen him just go out there and scan a field. I don't know if he can do it. So give me JJ.
Love it. Love it. All right, we ready? You don't have to.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of NFL fantasy. I know your angles. I know your schemes. I tell you draft zero, I'll be his. I'm the cult of NFL fantasy.
Yes, they were here. They were here for you, for the singing. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to make that a nice little YouTube short. No, I'm going to take it. All right.
God,
hey,
right.
Man, I appreciate you coming on this evening. We're probably going to be doing some rookie mocks down the line. I'd love to get you involved. We'll chat again before the NFL draft. We'll talk some player props, and I'm sure we're going to be talking in the background about some other things that might be possibly happening. But it was a pleasure having you on, Eric.
Thank you, my friend. Talk to you soon.
All right, everybody listening at home, we appreciate you. We will catch you all later on. Take care.